Have you guys heard about the new NAM pedal? So we've been talking about ToneX. Everyone's up in the ToneX. Obviously, ToneX is surging in popularity because of this, the cheap ToneX pedal. There's a new NAM pedal from Dimehead Electronics.
Oh, it's real.
It's real, and it runs NAM.
It
and
exists.
I think it also runs a reverb. Like there's also a reverb algorithm they built in, so you can have like reverb with your amp or something.
So it's their reverb, though.
Yeah, they built in the reverb, but you can run NAM, and you can turn it off, of course.
Okay.
And you can run your IRs as well. So a lot of people have been saying NAM, being free is going to take off. And as soon as there's this new, a pedal, a way you can put on your pedal board, that's what's holding it back. And, this whole open source thing. It's free, It's hard to train stuff. And by hard, I mean it's not user-friendly and normal people aren't going to do it. But people make stuff available. There's a ToneHunt. ToneHunt.org is a free website. You can download all these NAM things. NAM player's free. And, now there's a pedal. You can take it with you. Now, I think they've only made 25. They shipped the first round, and now people have already pre-ordered. Like the pre-order sold out. They shipped the first 25. Now they're shipping more. It's a small operation. These are...
How much is it?
It's a great question. We'll put it on the screen here. I believe it's like 3. Let me look it up here while we talk. It's more expensive than the little ToneX, obviously. I don't know. What do you? It's hard to beat ToneX right now.
NAM is like NAM's a tough. All right,
You have thoughts.
I have thoughts.
Yeah.
I am no stranger to command line tools, running things on computers. I'm a software engineer. Have been for almost 20 years. SaaS companies. It took me a long time to make a NAM profile. Watching tutorials. And granted, this isn't my area of expertise. I'm not like a machine learning guy.
Yeah.
But, man...
You like to think of yourself as a savvy computer.
I'm a savvy computer person. It took me a frustratingly long amount of time to get it to work. And when I did get it to work, I wasn't super happy or confident in the sound that I got out of it. And I don't know. Maybe it's the most accurate algorithm in the world. But there's a lot of...
How much is €595?
It's more than
$590.
Okay.
It's more than $600.
So
probably $700.
So that's what it's at.
That's a lot.
That's what it's at.
That is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they don't have scale on their side. I mean, they're making 25. They made the first 25. The price could come down. I mean, who knows? They could have this manufactured overseas at first or eventually.
I wonder what the hardware actually is, though.
Yeah.
Like what's inside of it.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I don't know. I don't think NAM's... I think what NAM is going to do is allow other companies to do what ToneX is doing. Right? Think of, if you're not familiar with any of these tools, think of NAM as like what ToneX uses under the hood to make their stuff. That's all NAM is. It's a capture, it's a training technology. They don't do the capturing. You got to do that all yourself.
Yeah, you have to record your amp.
You have to
through a file they recommend.
Right. You have to figure out how to reamp a file they provide through your amp, capture the result, and then you upload the original and your capture to the thing, and then it spits out a thing that you download and then run in the NAM player.
It sounds complicated.
It is. And I'm glossing over a lot of it.
Right. That was the simple explanation.
That's the simple explanation. Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And so it is really, I don't know. So anyway, why isn't, I don't know. I'm not very optimistic about that as a solution. I don't know. Maybe it'll be cheaper in the future.
Well, I think,
but
so what I see happening right now, where I think NAM is really getting some more traction, is more on the software side. And so 2 notes, just like so now you can play NAM stuff in the Two Notes thing that came out, and so they're kind of making a big deal of that. They added NAM to something called MVave, or I don't know, some other software that people are using I've never heard of. So I don't know how many people are using it. So what I think is you're going to see more companies that maybe would make a software like a Two Notes, and now they're going to use NAM in there, and now you can make your own stuff and start sharing it. And I think for a company like Two Notes, it's really smart to do that because you bring in NAM people. I do think it's going to be hard to keep them in the long term, but also I don't know how many people are fully like bought into this, like the NAM sort of world. I try to ask myself what's really appealing about it. And I think there's some sort of a there's like this like rebel force, like fighting the empire kind of like vibe that I get from people. It's like it's open source and it's all these things. I think it's a great tool, but where I really think NAM is going to have legs is when a company takes it, uses the tech, and builds a great product.
Yes.
And when I talked to Steve, I always got the opinion that was more his attitude as well. He pointed out he's not a product guy, and NAM isn't a product.
Right.
And so he wants people to use it. And it felt like a lot of the users were more like, this is going to take out ToneX. Like they're just like, enjoy your success right now until NAM takes over everything. It's like, I don't understand that because
all of those people also use Linux.
Yes, I know, and that's it. It's like right, and they have Android phones and everything.
It's the Linux of capture tech.
Yes, and the proof's in the pudding, right? It's like
for sure.
It's one thing to be a Spotify user over an Apple Music user. It's another thing to.
Is that a diss on Apple Music people?
Yeah,
because I'm an Apple Music guy.
I think the playlists are better on Spotify.
It's not our fault that you.
I also want to say I think Spotify for a long time.
You're probably right though.
Spotify for a long time has also been very passionate about free speech. They don't censor people on their platform, and I don't just mean one guy in particular, but there's been several controversial people on their platform, and they've even told people. Remember when they had all these woke people in their company? They were like, "We need to get." The CEO just told them, "No,
right?
Like we're not."
I remember that.
We're not going to take people off of Spotify because you don't like their podcast. Don't listen to it. Like, whatever.
Okay, you convinced me.
Whereas,
do it now.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
Apple. Although, hey, I applaud Apple because when the FBI was like, or the CIA was like, give us the back door to unlock this phone.
They
were like, you don't understand. If we build in a back door,
Right.
we can't unbuild it. Like it could be exploited by anyone.
There you go.
Like if we make a keyhole, a key could fit in.
Even one that you don't intend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially those.
The only way to make sure no key works is to not have a hole for the key.
Yeah.
Don't put a way to unlock the door and it's a wall.
Totally.
And so good luck. Obviously, what was the guy who then wanted to open it up?
I don't know.
McAfee? Joe McAfee?
Yeah.
Carl McAfee was his name?
No. I think
Joe McAfee. Is that
I don't know.
Yeah, he's dead now.
What is the other joke we used to say? Joe
Mazda.
Joe Mazda.
Who made the Mazda cars.
Some say that was our best joke.
Joe Mazda.
Joe Mazda.
Yeah.
He was the guy,
Joe, it's got to be Joe McAfee.
That was if people didn't prefer Elon Musk for the Teslas. If politically they weren't on Elon Musk side, they could go over to Mazda.
Joe Mazda.
Joe Mazda. Very even keel guy, not controversial at all.
Even.
Well, I think, look, what I love about the NAM capture tech, and I'm on board. Look, I use open source software all the time. I've built a whole career using open source software.
Yeah.
What it does is it allows everyone to work with the same tools, right? I don't know how the Kemper works. I don't know how Quad Cortex works. And I can't know. I'm not allowed to know. But NAM is available to me, and I don't really know how NAM works either, but I can use it. And if I'm a product builder, I can use it, and now I can have capture tech too.
Yeah.
So it's just ingredients. No one goes around and is like critiquing like what kind of flour different restaurants are using, right? It's like you care about what they make with the flour.
Sure.
So that's what's going to take. It's not just a pedal. It needs to be like a whole. It needs to be a competing product of these capture products.
And I've always thought, like, we should do like a Tone Junkie plugin that has our 5 best amps with 5 IRs and go, here is the sound of that you get on the Kemper, on the ToneX, on the Quad Cortex. Our amps, you can capture them multiple ways. and then just I guess blend between them or something. Just make because there's people making plugins that are NAMM powered plugins. Like here's 5 amps, and we've just replicated our 5 things, or even they're not even 5 amps. It's just something like our 5 amps. And that's kind of what Neural does, right? It's like we didn't give you every functionality of the amp. We just gave you like the thing, And here's my favorite channel. Here's the purple plexi, right? So you could go. Here's the
there's people doing this now. There's a lot of people doing this. There's a guy who there's a guy who makes a bunch of plugins called the One Knob plugins.
Yep. I'm familiar.
And they're like high gain stuff. They just came out with a Trivium pack, which is a metal band that's like been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And they sound great.
Yeah.
But it's like,
and what's the thing? They got one knob.
Yeah, it's like literally the plugin is like it's just like it looks like a front of an amp, but it just has a gain knob.
One big knob. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And like it's not really. There's other stuff. You can load IRs. You can like reverb. You can do all these other things. But it's mostly just the one knob. But it's like, how do you make a plugin like that that's economical? That's not going to take forever. And it's really more about the sound you put in it, not how you get that sound.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
so
that's the thing.
I almost wonder if it'll be more something like that. Will be a lot more like if Two Notes can release a pedal that runs NAMM and has access to then their software that they sell now too,
right?
And so it has reverbs, has stuff. If someone kind of makes an ecosystem and then maybe they're licensing some products in there. Maybe from like Electro Harmonics. So it's like now we have the official Electro Harmonics DMM, thing or whatever, or something like that. I mean, it feels like that would be a more, that would seem like a better product. Someone that's a little more invested in making the actual product the best product it can be.
Yeah. Getting it on your pedal board though is always going to be a challenge.
It is.
It is because you gotta basically have a VST player. Back to the other thing that we looked at too. It's like if you could if someone could make a generic VST player that was the size of a little ToneX.
And then here we are again.
And it was like there's no screen, there's no nothing. It's just a little simple interface, and you put VSTs on there. Yeah. And it's like VST presets. That's it. Right. There's no adjusting, no nothing.
Right.
That would be a killer product.
That would be a killer product. I'd buy that product.